A few weeks ago, I did a video about the most dangerous cities that we have here in the state of Utah. I gave you the bad news first, so now it's time for the good news. Let's do a video on the safest cities that we have in Utah. Let's get after it right now. And a warm welcome to the Living in Utah channel. I'm Mike Gallagher. I'm a local real estate agent right here in the area. And if you want to learn everything about living in Utah, you've come to the right channel. You may consider tapping that subscribe button down below, hitting that bell notification, and YouTube will send you an alert every time I release a new video, and that's every week. Apart from making videos, I also help people buy or sell real estate. So if I can be of any assistance, I'll leave my contact information on the screen, and it'll also be down in the show notes. As we get started, in general, Utah ranks way below the national average when it comes to crime. But we do have some crime. Some areas have higher crime than other areas. So on this video, let's talk about some of the safest cities that we have. This particular report was not a report that I created. I did not choose any city on the list. I will put a copy of the report in the show notes. As I was looking through the report, I did notice that some of the cities are very small in size. So they might be on the list this year, but next year they may drop off the list if they have a few more crime cases to report. Coming in number one on their list, they have Mapleton, Utah, located south of Salt Lake City. It's actually pretty much in like the middle of the state. If we were to look at it on a map, you're about 50 to 60 miles southeast of Salt Lake City. To give you an idea, it's a rather small town. The article states there's only just over 11,000 residents. The murder rate was 0. The poverty rate is 2.2%, and the average household income is $120,000. So located just south of Salt Lake City, it also noted in the report that some of the crime figures have spiked in various years, gone up and down. 2014 and 2017 and 2020 saw a little bit of an increase. So being a small town, the numbers go up and go down, and it can change the ranking. Right now, it's number one on the list. Coming in at number two on their list, we have Santaquin, Utah. This is another city that is located probably in about the middle of the state. If you were to look about 60 to 70 miles south of Salt Lake City, you would find Santaquin, very close to the number one city on their list of Mapleton. Now, this city has approximately 13 to 14,000 residents. Murder rate was 1. Poverty rate was 6.1%. Beautiful area. You're right next to Mount Timpanogos. You also have the Utah Lake just north of Santaquin. Lots to do in this particular town, and they come in at number 2 on the list. Coming in at number 3 on the list, we have Heber City, Utah. Now, this particular city is located, it's what I consider one of the mountain towns. If you're familiar with the Park City area, just south of Park City, you will find Heber City. So it's relatively east of Salt Lake City, up in the mountains. Approximate population of 16,000, murder rate of 0, poverty rate of 7.7%. This particular city is very popular with the 2002 Winter Games. A lot of events occurred in that particular area. The article also states that thefts and burglaries are the main known offenses in Heber. It also states that the poverty rate is lower than the state average, while the average household income is higher. And this is a great statistic that this particular city has. There hasn't been a homicide in this town for 14 years. No homicides. 14 years. Coming in at number 4 on the list is Bountiful, Utah. This particular city is located just north of Salt Lake City, about 10 to 12 miles north of downtown Salt Lake City. Population-wise, about 45,000 residents. So this is a larger city. Even by Utah standards, it's considered a larger city, well populated. Murder rate, 0. Violent crimes were 36. It's a very popular area. Easy access if you are working north towards Hill Air Force Base, or if you are working in Salt Lake City, or you have to go to the airport on various occasions. Bountiful is a very popular destination. Coming in number 5 on the list, we have Pleasant View, Utah, a city located north of Salt Lake City, actually north of Ogden. If you were to drive about 5 to 7 miles north out of Ogden, Utah, you would run into Pleasant View. It's a city that I have relatives that live there. They've lived there since about 2005. They have nothing but positive things to say about the neighborhood, the community. They like it very much. This particular city has a population of about 11,000 residents. When it comes to the murder rate, it is at 0. Violent crimes were at 4. The article had some great things to say about the city. It noted that violent crime is virtually non-existent. Property offenses, including thefts and burglaries, take the top spots. Coming in at number 6 on the list is Woods Cross, Utah, a city located north of Salt Lake City, right about 10 to 15 miles. So earlier I talked about the city of Bountiful. Woods Cross is right next to Bountiful. They are neighbors. Population about 11,000. The murder rate was 1. The violent crimes were 42. The article had the following things to say about Woods Cross, Utah. That the average household income for Woods Cross is slightly higher than the state average. Likewise, the poverty rate is low because of the lower cost of living compared to the national average. Coming in at number 7 on the list, we have North Ogden, Utah, located north of Salt Lake City, just north of Ogden, Utah. This is another city right next to a city that was a little further up the list of Pleasant View, Utah. These two cities are neighbors. North Ogden has a population of about 20,000 residents. Murder rate was at 0. Violent crimes come in at 17. Now, North Ogden used to be known as a cattle ranching community. Farms in general, quite a few fruit farms were in this particular location. Most of it now has been turned into housing. Coming in at number 7 on the list is North Ogden, Utah. Coming in, number 8 on the list is Clinton, Utah, a city located north of Salt Lake City, about 10 to 15 miles north of the Salt Lake Airport. It's right next to the military base, Hill Air Force Base, very popular with people who work on the base. I lived in the city of Clinton in the 1990s. I purchased my first home right there in Clinton, Utah, small community. When I lived in that city, we did not have a full-time police force. It was all reserve and volunteer officers. Currently, the population is about 23,000 residents. Crime rate, or the murder rate, was 0. Violent crimes come in at 17. It's a great family community. They have some amazing sports facilities and some great youth programs. So in conclusion, that is a list of some of the lowest crime cities that we have in the state of Utah. If you have any kind of questions, by all means, reach out to me. Glad to answer anything that I can. Until the next video, take care and stay safe.